2, 3, 4, Mama Juice coming to you. Go. Welcome back to
Mama Juice.
Where moms come for the juice.
The bad moms.
The bad moms.
And the good moms. You can come too.
Any kind of moms.
We play nice.
Yes, we do. Okay. So, how was your weekend? Mama Juice. Mama Juice.
You know, it was hot.
Ooh, I like hot.
It wasn't the good kind of hot. It was, you live here too, 113.
Arizona, yes.
Yeah.
Super hot.
And then I also, on Sunday, and you were one of the people, I made plans with 4 people. 4. And
we all bailed out.
Well, I mean, because I was, like, Chris's parents came into town, my kids' other grandparents on their dad's side. And so, like, I was just like, yeah, of course, whatever day works, you know. Not even realizing that I had made plans with 3 other people.
Party?
No, it turned into just grandparents.
Understandable.
And then I thought it was dinner, but it was lunch, so I could have probably still stuck to at least one of you.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah, no, I ended up going to my mom's.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that we didn't, like, we weren't going to come.
And then I was like, do you still want to come?
Yes. Well, that's nice. What about Saturday?
Saturday, we had a friend over.
Oh, nice.
So, it's, she is the masseuse. She used to be the masseuse at the chiropractor I used to go to. And we're friends.
She still give you a massage?
No, but I thought about asking her. She still does like side jobs, but mostly she's a stay-at-home mom.
It's a nice side job to have.
Right, yeah. Just like here and there, like whenever she can.
Yeah.
I mean, she has like some regular clients, but it works with, her husband's schedule. So it works out. But her boys are 6 and 2, I want to say. So it's like my boy's age and then Jazzy. So Jazzy and Axel,
they play together.
They play.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And
Sounds
you?
really fun. Well, Saturday we celebrated Jose's birthday since we weren't able to last weekend. We celebrated his birthday, and then Sunday just went to my mom's house. Oh no, girl. We're looking into buying a home already.
Yay!
Yes. So Sunday morning, I dropped them off at my mom's, and then we went to have a talk with the realtor. And he is like, so I met this mom at Crunch when I was working there, and I was taking care of her kids there.
Yeah.
So her husband is a realtor. She's like, okay, well, talk to my husband. So we did. We met up with him and we talked. And next Saturday, we'll be looking at some houses and starting the whole process. So that's pretty much what we did Sunday morning. And then,
so
pretty much.
Be careful.
Okay.
Careful. Realtors are, and sorry to all my realtor friends, because I have several. It's like mechanics. It's like car salesmen. It's like dentists. Like,
yes,
you have to find one that's trustworthy, because sometimes you think you have one and you don't.
Yeah, that's something that I kept in mind, because I had already talked to a realtor and her lender.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school with her, elementary school, and I talked to her lender, and I don't know, it was like it never went through with her for some reason. Like, there was always like one thing or another that never made it happen. You know what, let's get a second opinion, and then I met her and I met like her husband, and for some reason I got that like trustworthy feeling, like that feeling that I didn't get from the other one.
Okay.
That I was like, oh, okay, well, you know what, let's try it out.
Okay.
And I told Jamie, we're doing our part, the rest is in God's hands. So if it's supposed to happen, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And if not, well, you know what, then it's not our time right now to do that.
So I'm trying to make this long story short, because we have a topic we want to talk about.
Yes.
But so when I was pregnant with the boys, I mean, I was very pregnant with them. Like, I was a couple months away from having them. We were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, the 3 of us, and we're like, we have to find something bigger. Like, we want a house. My brother had a realtor friend. He's like, he's one of my best friends. Like, he'll take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started working with him and his lender. His lender talked me out of any down payment assistance. He said, no, don't do it. It takes too much time. And so I did have a saving. Well, we did, because part of it was money that Chris got from back pay for our Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a savings. We didn't want to drain our savings to buy a house. Like, that's scary. And then on top of that, we couldn't get a big enough loan us. So my mom was going to co-sign on a house with me.
Wow.
This realtor told us, looked us dead in the eye and said, you cannot afford a $200,000 house. Then he showed us one that we fell in love with, let us put an offer in on one that we fell in love with. And when I realized what we were doing, that we were going to drain our savings, we had no idea what we were going to do about childcare for the kids, for me to go back to work. Like, my stomach had this pit, and I was like, this is going to kill us. We're going to be foreclosed overnight. So I tried to back out, and he was like, there's no way. Like, once you put in an offer, that's it. Deal done.
Mm-hmm.
So then it got accepted. And again, I'm like, you have to get us out of this. And he's like, no, I can't. There's nothing we can do. I was just hysterical. Like, my mom was calling him. And eventually he was like, so I offer to pay the first year of the homeowner's insurance for whoever buys the house, so that the owners of the house would drop our offer and go to somebody else. Because that would be like a selling point, you know, they would sell their house faster.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, it's gonna be like $500. And so when that happens, like, I was like, I feel responsible for paying this. I told him that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after further research, I could have backed out several times. There were several ways that he could have gotten us out of that deal.
So he was trying to just get his money.
He was just trying to get his money, and then he ended up losing $500. He kept playing on our situation. You know, he was like, you need a house for your kids. This has to happen.
Yes,
I was in survival mode. I'm like, you're right, I need a house for my kids. And then this house fell into our laps, and it was perfect. I took 9 months off work, and I ended up living off our savings. So had we done that, I don't know what we would have done.
It's sad because of people that you're close with, that you would expect kind of, you know, like to be trying to help you out, don't really help you out. Like, they're just for the money. And that's something that girl told me. She's like, you know, you really have to be careful who you trust, like who with those kind of things, because a lot of people just want your money. And I agree, you know, like, I think if you have that gut feeling, do it. So yeah, it's kind of hard, but I think in those kind of situations, if you really have that gut feeling, don't do it. Yeah. And I didn't get that gut feeling like the other lady, you know, so for now we're just going with it. And I think like that, like you, that, you know, this house fell into your lap, and like that's exactly what we need to wait for, because everything that is meant for you will come to you. Yes.
You realize that now at your age, which is amazing, because it took me a while to get there. Even like bad jobs that I accepted, those had to lead to the next thing, which led me to where I am now. Everything that has happened, good and bad, there's a reason, and I see that now.
Yeah, and that's good, you know, that's really good. And I'm glad you do, because it's hard. It's hard not to think, you know, when you're in a bad situation, to think like, you know, like this is gonna lead me to something good, because you're in this hole that you think you're gonna be stuck in forever.
Right.
So,
which might be a good way to think, because it puts you into survival mode where you maybe make the right decision. So maybe in that moment it's good not to have that clarity of like, oh, it's fine, it'll lead to what needs to happen, because you're like, what am I gonna do next?
Yeah, well, it kind of kicks off the whole like, okay, you know, like I need to figure this out. Like, what do I need to do?
Right.
You know, but then you kind of gotta step back a little bit and be like, wait, you know, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, and sometimes when we go into those emotions, sometimes we even making the right, like, a mistake. But then again, it's like one to another, you know, because like you make a mistake, you learn from it, and then
it's the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and change anything, it would change the outcome, and maybe not for a good one. So you just have to like do what you need.
Trust the process.
Yes, and trust yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have that trust in yourself. But
I agree.
Okay. So our topic today.
So today's topic, we want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is what's going on 2020, you know, school, virtual, homeschool, in person, you know. That's something that we wanted to talk to you moms about, because I know this is a big topic, and you know, just have a talk about it, and maybe you guys feel a little bit more comfortable about the decision that you make, you know, you feel less judged, or you know, whatever the case may be.
Right. So I have a pretty strong opinion, kind of. I don't know. I don't have kids in school. So some people might say I don't get to have an opinion.
No, because you're going to have a kindergarten next year.
Right. But I've literally been told you're not allowed to have an opinion because you don't get it.
And who are they to tell you that? Oh my God. I see people, man.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So, first of all, everybody is still trying to figure this out. That's what we're all trying to do. And it would be much easier if everybody had an understanding of that. You know, the school system isn't your enemy.
No.
Moms who want to put their kids in school are not your enemy.
No.
Moms who want to keep their kids out are not your enemy.
It's that you're put in this position, and whatever works for your family is the route that you should go. Like,
but I also struggle with that, because at the same time, we are in a time where we have to be uncomfortable. Like, the things that we do have to make us uncomfortable, because
out of your comfort zone, I think, you know.
Right. And it's just where we all are, whether you have kids or not. Like, we're all making these sacrifices. We're all uncomfortable. We're all doing stuff we don't want to do. We're all fucking over this virus.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, yes.
No matter what we feel about it, it's not going away. Like, it's here.
No.
We have to look at ourselves as communities, where the American mentality is me, 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 and you take care of yourself. That's it. But we have to function as a unit to overcome this. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm with you with that, because we're in this together. Right. You know, like, I am going through the same struggle as you are, and maybe not the exact struggle, but we're struggling right now. As a nation, we're struggling.
As a world. Like, it's just a worldwide pandemic. Everybody is feeling it. Every country that has been affected is feeling this in a different way. Americans are the most angry about it because of, you know, everybody uses, this is a whole other topic, but everybody uses white privilege, and people take that as an offense.
Yeah.
But we have American privilege. As Americans, we are very privileged. So something as simple as our kids can't go to school this year, to us, it's like, the end of the world. Whereas there are countries where kids don't even have access to education. And we are throwing tantrums because our kids are given free laptops and the opportunity to be safe at home and still get an education.
I agree.
And that makes people mad.
Yeah. I think it's because everything has been moved and we're not used to change. We're freaking out right now.
And that's bad. Yeah. Like, I actually had that conversation with a friend. I said, you know, what are we teaching our kids? We have to change because of something bigger than us that's happening. And we're teaching our kids to not be okay with it, to throw tantrums about it, to try to change it. You know, people are protesting and going on the news. Like, you're telling your kids, like, it's not okay to make an adjustment for the greater good. That's what I think. And I just think that, you know, everybody's upset because from what I hear, it's not working out well. People are having technical issues. People's kids are having breakdowns. Give it time.
But you know why they're having breakdowns, though? I think it's because they see it on the parents.
Yes, exactly.
You know? We are their main, like, source. We are their, like, they will imitate everything that we do. Like, literally, everything that we do, that's who they imitate. So if you have parents, you know, I get it. It's hard. I understand. But if they see us, you know, like, just being all aggressive towards them, frustrated, and all of those kind of things, they're gonna imitate. You know, they're gonna have like meltdowns, and they're just.
And if they see you on the phone with Karen saying, "This is the worst thing to ever happen to our children," they're going to feel like, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me," because they hear you talking about it.
As a parent, I think that, you know, as a child, I think that you feel like a parent is going to figure everything out. Right. Okay, like, we're gonna be fine. Like, our parents are gonna figure that out. Yeah. And at the moment that you have your parents freaking out, like, what is the child supposed to do? They're gonna freak out. Like, oh, we're not okay, you know? Exactly. It's kind of like us as like citizens. You see the president freaking out, right? We're gonna freak out because we kind of see the president as the parent, and that parent isn't doing its job, and it's not. If they're freaking out, we're gonna freak out.
Okay, this is so off topic. I'm gonna tell Shannon for just like 30 seconds. So I have a friend who's very pro-Trump. I am not. And one of the things I don't like about him is does not reassure you of anything. You don't listen to him and feel like, okay, he's got it. Like, I'm taken care of.
But you know what? I just don't think it's I just think it's the government, like the whole.
100%. The government's a mess. But
the top.
And no matter how you feel about President Obama, when you listen to that man speak, you think he knows what he's talking about. That's comforting. If somebody sounds like they know what they're talking about, that's comforting.
But sometimes I feel like we're not used to the ugly truth. What if, in our reality, Trump really doesn't know what the fuck to do because...
I see what you mean.
You get what I'm saying?
So people trick themselves into thinking, like, he's got this.
Yeah, so maybe it's because he's not here lying to us that things are okay, and, like... I feel like
he is though.
I feel like
he is. He's like, no, it's gonna go away in the summer. It doesn't like the heat, and it's like 113, and we're like the highest ranking state.
Yeah, he's like such a. I think that he is. Oh man, he's just a difficult person. I don't know, girl. Like that's just crazy. But going back to this whole.
We're talking about like how moms need to have the confidence, and I just think like give it time. Yes, your child might be frustrated and crying maybe the whole first week. Some kids get that when they go to in-person school because they have anxiety about being around other kids.
What do you think about the in-school learning?
You know what? I was on board with not doing in-school learning because, you know, to me it's like it's gambling with the lives of children. And
yes, definitely. And not even the children. Teachers,
yes.
They're putting themselves at risk.
100%. You know? And people are like, well, that's their job. They're essential. First of all, I'm going to say this, and it's very controversial, but I do not think school is essential.
No. And I'll tell you why. Let's move homeschool option here.
Yes.
I'm doing homeschool.
Right.
I decided to do homeschool. It started because... I actually wanted to do homeschool 2 years ago.
Before this,
completely. I had my reasonings, you know. I kind of felt like regular school was, like, it was controlling our day, kind of. Yeah. Because it was the same routine every single day. I was getting so tired of it. It was like waking up, getting dressed, going to school, dropping them off, coming home, waiting for them to get out.
Picking them up,
going home.
Do it all over again.
And then do it all over. And then it was the same thing over and over. I was getting tired of that. So I was kind of like...
Well, the funny thing is... Sorry to interrupt. But you're not used to that because you've primarily been a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
To me, that's normal life.
Yeah, and I'm just the type of person, girl, that I don't like for things to control me.
Sure.
Like, I think that's why I just... I don't like that routine. I want to choose my routine.
Yeah.
If I have if I have the option, I want to choose it, I want to do it, and I want to make it.
Yeah.
So
100%. I get that. You know how many jobs I had in my 20s, and do you want to know why?
Why?
Because Groundhog's Day sucks.
I
always felt like I was stuck in that same routine. I would go to work. My work every day would be pretty much the same. So you felt like you needed to change it up, get a new job. Yeah. I had like 20 jobs in my 20s. 20 for 20.
Understandable, bro. and that's how I came about. And then this hit, and I was like, you know what? I'm taking this as like, this is what I was meant to do. Yeah. This is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm doing it. So I did, you know, and...
See, but I struggle. I don't think I'd want to homeschool my kids.
Why?
And this is going to sound very contradictory to arguments that I've had with some of you on Facebook. Because one of the big things people touch on during this whole virtual learning thing is our children need to be socialized, you know? And I'm like, dude, it's like one school year. Your kid is still going to their out-of-school sport. They're going to be okay. You know, they can FaceTime their friends. It's okay. They have a connection to people. We are not that secluded.
Like, we're not just stuck.
No, that's what people are acting like. Like, your kids are okay.
No, I know, but
it's not like the years of socialization that they've had is going to come crashing down, and now they're going to not know how to act social ever again. It's temporary. I do feel like socialization, I do feel like routine, just even being a daycare mom, I see it in my kids. So Jasmine stayed with my Nina for 2 years. She's an amazing person, and the family that my daughter was around, there was a group of them. You know, it was like my Thea, my Nina's sister, a brother, and her nephew. Like, all these people were involved in my child's life. And so she was very nurtured, but just because it is like that home environment, she did not get the structure like she does now. And I see how she was versus the boys at that age. And I just like the structure and the socialization with kids her age, and the lessons that I'm ever able to teach her when she comes home and says, Mom, so-and-so did this to me. And I can explain to her what to do, why it's not okay. And it brings up life lessons that you might not experience if you weren't in that environment. And I know you had said, you know, you want your children to be more like you, like more of an entrepreneur and not so much like a corporate job. But what if that's what they fall into?
Well, then that's their choice as they get older.
I know, but I feel like school helps set up that discipline.
But you set it up for them. Like, you have to be disciplined yourself to set it up for them. For example, like, it's my job to wake up every morning. Like, for example, like, it's my job to wake up every morning, have things ready for them, things planned for them, make them that routine, get them into that routine. There's a lot of co-op groups. For example, like, there could be a mom that teaches a certain type of subject that's like, hey, can my child assist? And the class, and like the group would be like maybe like less than 10 kids, and that's where they would get their socialism. You would take them out to play dates. That's where they would get their social from. There are just like so many options where they can get that same experience,
which is nice.
Now, it's not bad if you choose whatever your choice you make for your child.
Yes.
It's not bad.
And I'm not saying your choice is
bad.
No,
that's fine.
I'm just saying,
like for you personally.
Well, I like to look at things, not even personally. Like, there are, like, I'm currently starting to look at schools for Jasmine.
Right.
I don't think I want to put her in a traditional public school.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I feel like, I don't know, there's something about, and maybe I'm wrong about this, you know, I'm not a child psychologist or anything, but something about experiencing social events without the security of your parents, I think, is something that is important.
But I think that's where, because I've been going all over YouTube, like just researching like a whole bunch of like homeschool thing, and like that's the number one myth there is in parents who are indecisive in homeschooling is the social life without their parents. Like, they feel like, oh, they're gonna depend on their parents for everything, but you don't, because it's like it's everything on us. Like, it's my job to have my kids out there. If I never take them out, girl, they're gonna be like completely dependent on me if I don't expose them to that.
But are they ever going to be in those environments without you there?
Of course.
Okay.
There's sports.
That's true.
There's, like, I'm telling you, those groups where I have to make sure that I leave them there and I'm out, and then I come pick them up within however long that class is.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought it was like almost like a mommy, like play dates where it's the moms are there and the kids
you
are
can't have a play date like that. But there's groups where like it's kind of like the teacher that she's like let's say they want to learn about music. So this mom or this dad is very knowledgeable on music. Then we bring them into that group, and then they get taught about music. And you just drop them off, you leave, you come back, and that's how that works.
Okay, I like
but
that.
But it's not necessarily like I have to be there at all times. Now, I'm sure you're allowed to as a parent, but is that really good for the child?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not, because you're making them dependent on you. And that was my fear too. Like, I don't want them to be like, you know, when it's time for them to spread their wings, be scared because mom has always been there for me, you know. And that's what I'm saying, like, it's our job to build that for them, so we're their teachers. It's no longer like a stranger that's their teacher. It's like education comes from home, you know. Like, that's how it all started, you know.
Sure, yeah.
It all started from the house back then. Before we women would, you know, get a job, we used to stay at home, cook, clean, do all of that stuff, like in the 1800s, and education was at home. We were their teacher. And then the government started getting involved, because that's when us women decided we want to start working, you know. We want to stop being dependent on men. We want to do something for ourselves. So that's when we gave that's how schools started to come about.
Sorry, I'm laughing because
you know,
there's a comedian, I don't even know who it is, because I only saw it on a TikTok video, so it was just their voice. They were talking about, you know, women fighting for the right to work, and she's like, what were you guys thinking? We had it made. And I'm like, yes, I say that all the time. I'm like, the right to work. I wish I do, as stressful as I know it is, because sometimes on the weekends I'm like, come on, Monday. But
I want to go to work.
Yeah. I would have loved to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but that came to my
but that's we kind of did have, in that sense we did, you know. But that's how it all started, you know. We were their first educators, and then things started to change. Women started wanting more responsibilities, independence. So then,
blah, blah, blah. You're the reason I sit in a cubicle all day.
Let's blame you. Yeah, you know, and then they started creating public schools, and then that was because honestly, like, a public school, how I see it, or just like a school in general, to me, it's kind of like daycare. A lot of reasons why parents right now are kind of upset because there's no school is because they have to kind of quit their job, figure out something with their job to be able to be there and help their child.
Right.
Like, there's maybe it's like, I think it's like 80% of them. That's the reason.
And that, you know what, that, if the reason they're upset about it is because they have to spend time with their kids, then that's sad for your kids. But I know some parents are like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't afford not to work.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can't work. And the nice thing is, a lot of employers, maybe not a lot, but some employers, mine for example, I love my job. I do. I work for a really the biggest hospital group here in Arizona.
Right.
And I work for their insurance division. And each division is a little bit different, so I can't speak for the organization as a whole, but the CEO of the division for the health plan that I work at sent out an email saying, we see your challenge and we want to help you. Tell your leader, what do you need? Right. So now, like, a woman that used to work a couple QBs away from me, she's working from home part-time. So she comes, her son's 10, so he's only enough to kind of navigate stuff on his own. You know, she's there. Three. I had to do that. Basic math. I should not be teaching my kids. No, I didn't. Just kidding. She's there 3 days a week, and she's home 2 days a week. And so she can help her son. They let her work from home when she had to set it up, because part of her job is mailing stuff out. So obviously she still has to come in sometimes, but her job technically was to be there, but they let her go home. They got equipment that she needed. They let her go home. And a lot of companies, you know, that's why when people are like, we got to get back to work. Yes, there are people who were struggling. There are people who were genuinely out of work. But a lot of people who had administrative jobs, computer jobs, they got to work from home.
Yes.
You still have your income. You still have your job. You can be there because, you know, I don't know anything about the virtual learning because I'm not there. But from my understanding, the teacher's still there. It's still like a classroom setting. Really, the parent's job isn't to teach them. When parents are acting like that's what it is, you're not teaching them. You are making sure that they're paying attention to their teacher.
The focus.
Yeah.
You know? It's just, I don't know. It's crazy because, like, I personally, like, from what I did my, you know, research, and I started seeing the way that they were handling it. I mean, yes, they're giving computers, you know, which is really good, and they're providing that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, like, from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. And then I would have 3 children because Joshua would be basically in preschool. Now, I have the option not to, you know, involve him in that yet, since everything is all crazy yet. But if I were to have involved him in that, I have a first grader, kindergartner, and then I would have a preschooler. Everything is virtual. So that means that I would have to have 3 children sitting on the table, because I just have my dining table right now, and having them focus on the computer with their teacher, and then the internet. You have 3 computers running at the same time. It's going to, like, it's gonna struggle here.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Course, yeah.
And I really can't afford right now to boost up my internet speed. And like, there's all those little that I get it. I get the frustration.
I do too, 100%.
I get it. And that's another reason I was like, you know what? No, like, I'm doing my own thing. I'm teaching, like, I'm doing my own thing because I don't want to deal with that. Yeah. At the end of the day, parent involvement in education is number 1 for them to succeed.
Right. And I don't want to say that you're lucky to be able to do that, which because, you know, you
can do it right now, even you working, girl, you know.
But then where would my kids be all day?
Well, that would be the thing. It's like, where would they be? And that's where we come back to school. It's kind of like a place for
part-time childcare.
Yeah, you know, for like free if you choose the public, or even some charter schools are actually free, you know. Yeah. But a child, honestly, from what I was reading, a child that is in elementary school only needs 30 to an hour of education. Middle school child through high school, they only need about an hour to 2 hours. That's all they need to learn, because their attention span isn't that, like, the whole 8 hours that a school gives isn't, they're only grasping about that much time really in learning. So in all reality, it's like they're just going just to go if they're just grabbing 30 minutes to like an hour of that.
I find that hard to believe, though.
Yeah.
Even high school kids?
Even high school kids. Because they're more worried about passing a test than actually learning it.
Yes. Standardized testing, I hate. Yeah, I even
yes.
testing in general, I think should not be, like, I'm not saying don't test kids, because it is important to test kids. No, you kind of
gotta know where they're at.
Right.
In that, but
don't make it the end-all, be-all. Like, you can, all your assignments are great. Your participation in class is great. But your final is, like, 70% of your grade, so you failed. You know, like, that's,
and then that dictates your road through graduation or not, you know, and that's wrong. You know, that's it shouldn't be that way.
Right, and that's why I want to look at charter schools, because, like, our friend that came over to swim this weekend, she has her son in a public Montessori school.
Oh, yes. I heard Montessori schools are actually pretty good.
Yes, and so I'm considering something like that, because I love Montessori, where it's kind of more like learn it, learn
at
the
your
way
pace.
And the way you want to learn.
Exactly.
Because not everybody is the same.
No.
You cannot put something on a board and expect you and me to understand it the same.
No, definitely not. And I think that's where public schools, they kind of mess up because they expect every student to learn the wrong way. I mean, the same way. And then at the moment that a child, I was bad at school, girl.
Oh, I'm so bad at school.
Like, I was bad. Like, not in the sense of, like, misbehavior, but I feel like I'm a slow learner, and I learn with, like, visual. Like, I'm more, like, hands-on, visual type of learner.
I learn by doing, not by watching.
Yeah, like, just listening,
Yeah.
I don't do that. Like, I can't learn like that. And I was a C student, and I thought that I was the one that was wrong there. And it was just the fact that these teachers that I had, like, I wasn't learning from them because that's just not the way that I learned.
Right.
And I felt like I was the problem. And no, I wasn't the problem. It was the teachers, It was the way that they were teaching. Right.
And the thing that sucks is they don't have a choice. There are so many teachers that went into it for a certain reason, and like the teachers who have been in the game for a long time, they'll tell you, like, I used to be able to have breakthroughs with kids. I can't do that anymore because I have to do this standardized learning and these standardized tests, and that's it. That their only focus is get you through this test.
Yeah.
And that's just not life. So my other friend, I haven't talked to her more in depth about it, but now that Jasmine's going into school, I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Her kids go to a different charter school, and it's not Montessori, but, like, they don't go all day. I mean, it's not just, like, an hour or anything, but it's, like...
Like a 4-hour thing or something?
Like
that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think kids need 8 hours.
Right. And then, you know what? I'll figure out part-time childcare.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
And there is, there's, like, a lot of options. Actually, this charter school that if I would have put my kids back into school, like, I wanted to take them back to, it's called Burke Basic. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's down on Southern. Literally, like, right next to Skateland.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yes. I've had my cousin's kids have gone there. I've had a couple friends that took their kids to that school as well. And I love it because their way of teaching is completely different from, like, a public school. And then they have after-school programs for parents who can't pick them up at the time that they get out.
Right.
And I think it's up until 6 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And you have to pay, like, I think it's like a portion amount or something like that. But they offer that. And there's a lot of charter schools. There's a lot of options to find, daycare for your kids after they leave school.
Yeah.
So,
the daycares, you can do part-time daycare and they bus them in. So if my kids are going to school for free, I'm currently paying for daycare right now as it is.
Uh-huh.
So they're going to school for free, and then they do part-time daycare. My daycare amount is, like, cut in half now. So, I mean,
That's good.
The options are there. And, it's kind of like when Chris, I'm going to use Chris as an example. When he came in to help us because we were having some technical difficulties. And when I asked him for help, he's like, there's groceries in the car. And I'm like,
I got you.
We can do that for you while you do this. And I feel like that is an example of how people think. There's no flexibility. There's no
teamwork.
Right. And there's no, like, thought process into it. It's just like, no, that can't happen because this. It's like, okay, no. Think about what can happen and how you can get there. And who can you lean on?
Yes.
Like,
ask for help.
Yes, because so many people are willing to help if you ask. And then they'll be like, oh, this is the person I have in my life who I can lean on.
Yeah, the answer will always be no if you do not ask.
Exactly.
That will always be the answer. But if you ask, you have a high probability that it can be a yes. Like, and you are not going to know until you ask,
Unless you're surrounded by, like, 100% of assholes, people are going to want to help you, like.
And the funny part is so weird because, like, you get a lot more help from strangers than you do get from family. Like, a lot of times that happens, and I'm sure that sometimes they feel like they're just stuck in a place because they don't have family that can help. But there's a lot of strangers out there, you know, that are willing to help, but you just gotta go reach out to them and ask for that help.
Yeah, I think for some people, though, that's just so tough. Because
to ask for help?
Not even just to ask for help, but to make those connections.
Yeah.
You know, I am like social to a fault almost. I'm like overly social, so that doesn't compute to my brain. But I know people like Chris, he has the hardest time making connections with people.
Oh yeah, so does Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's hard for them because that's just not their personality.
Exactly.
And it's understandable. But I think that even if you're doing it at your own convenience because, you know, you need it, just do it.
You have to get out of your shell. Like, there are things about my personality that I need to change, and I'm aware of that. And if you're the type of person who has a hard time making those connections, ask yourself why. You know, maybe look into it, because people might be like, oh, I'm okay being an isolated person. Maybe you are on the outside, and maybe you don't even realize where it's hurting you. But I think, like, if you do not have any social connections,
we're human.
Yes.
Like, we need that human interaction, whether you want to say that you're antisocial or whatever that word you want to use. Like, you need that interaction.
Yeah.
You know, if you were like, why do people go crazy in solitude?
I wanted to let you all know that I am responsible for editing all of our podcast videos and uploading them to YouTube. And unfortunately, yesterday I started recording way prematurely, and we had a lot of technical difficulties. That's an understatement. So it recorded probably half an hour or more of just us trying to figure things out, probably like 45 minutes. Because of that, my phone stopped recording, so that's why it cut off all funky. But the good news is the audio is fine. That's recorded on a different program, and so that is going to be uploaded onto the podcast platforms. So you can hear the entire podcast on those platforms, but here at YouTube, you're only going to get what you just watched. So I apologize for that. It's going to get better. We are learning and we're doing our best. The first video that we had made for our podcast for episode 1, I accidentally deleted it permanently, and I cannot figure out how to get it back. That is just gone, and it's never going to be uploaded, and that breaks my heart because it was great and I loved how I edited it, but it is what it is. That's the past, and we're just moving forward, and hopefully episode 3 will go a lot more smooth. So I appreciate you watching and listening and showing your support. So go ahead and subscribe and like and comment and do all those fun things, because we want to keep doing this. We love it and we love you. So have a good day.